Hi, I'm Josh. I'm here to end the stigma on daddy issues. Essentially, my story is probably the best place for me to start, I guess. Growing up, my mom told me when I was really little that I was a daddy's boy. I loved my dad. My dad was my hero, essentially. He was like the biggest figure in my life that I looked up to. But my dad got sick. He somehow got a disease that made him sick. And unfortunately, in my family, when the men get sick or they're in pain, they get angry. It was a lot easier for my dad to be angry towards me. I was the youngest, so I was the easy target, I guess. I think my dad tried to be a good father. I don't think that he intentionally did anything, and I don't feel like I have daddy issues because my dad was purposely mean or nasty or a terrible person. I mean, he wasn't an alcoholic. He wasn't some terrible person as far as I know. I mean, he just wasn't nice. He was in pain a lot. He was angry a lot, and he took that out on me. And as a young boy who was treated poorly by kids at school, and being the youngest of four, you have three older siblings that kind of pick on you and give you a hard time, whatever. That's just the nature of being the youngest. You kind of look for comfort in your parents at that point, though. You know, you go to school, you get picked on, you get made fun of, then you go home, your siblings are picking on you, making fun of you. You kind of look towards your parents to give you some support, maybe some relief from the ridicule and the pain. Unfortunately, my dad didn't do that. He would add to it. He was mean, he would make fun of me, call me names, say things that a father just shouldn't say to his son. So it was very difficult for me as a kid and growing up. It was definitely hard to, it's hard to do a lot of things. Hard to feel normal because you feel so incredibly unloved by the person you think is supposed to love you the most. You know? In my mind, a parent is the person who is supposed to love you no matter what you do, no matter what happens. Your mom, your dad, they're always going to be there for you. You know, they're always going to love you and have your back and support you. And I just didn't feel that from my father, and it hurt. I mean, it hurts a lot. It gives you a loneliness feeling. It kind of makes you question everything. Am I worth it? Am I enough? Did I do something wrong? Is there something wrong with me? One of the biggest things that, for whatever reason, I got was probably a little bit more of a feminine male, I guess. So a lot of kids would call me gay or say I was a queer or something similar to that. And then, you know, I'd go home and my dad would say the same things. And it's, after a while, you start thinking, okay, well, all these people think I'm gay. My dad thinks I'm gay. Maybe I am gay. I mean, maybe that is something I need to figure out. And it just causes a lot of confusion and it causes a lot of self-doubt. And there's no really other way to say it other than it's a kind of a psychological abuse. The hard thing with that is there are no scars. There's no visible signs, I guess, other than the way you act, that you've been emotionally or psychologically abused. So it's very difficult for people to understand that, and it's a topic that people don't talk about. And I think that if we want to get to a place in where it's normal to talk about these things, then we're at a place where we can help each other. But if we continue to stay silent, if we continue to not talk about the things that are common, the things that happen to people all the time, how are we ever going to overcome those? So I think that for me, the important thing is to bring awareness to the fact that daddy issues are real. They're real for men, they're real for women, and it doesn't matter what age you are. You can be, a child and have issues. You can be an adult and still have issues. I think the misnomer that only women have daddy issues is pretty prominent in our society. But it's just because the men don't talk about it. It's kind of men don't really talk about much of anything. So it's one of those things where I really feel like we just need to start talking about it. And I don't know exactly what the solution is. I know that I've tried to forgive my dad. I do love my dad. He's my dad. But it's hard because you have memories of things and you think you've gotten over something. You think you've forgiven somebody for something, and then something happens and it sparks a memory of some bad situation you had, some bad thing that you went through as a kid, and it's like all those emotions, all of that feeling, everything just floods back in and you're just overwhelmed, and it's just like it puts you right back in that position of being a child and being completely innocent and vulnerable and just feeling like you can't do anything and you're just drowning in this feeling, and it's really hard. I think that God, religion has definitely helped, but I don't want to say God can't fix everything, but I think that when it comes to mental battles, I don't think that just praying is enough. You have to find support in people and support in things, and find an outlet for your emotions, find an outlet for what you're dealing with. And I just want to be able to help people to get through the pain, help people to get through the emotional things that they're dealing with. One of the biggest things that I think, because I've talked to my father about this on several occasions after the fact, after I've grown up, and I think one of the biggest things is he just didn't realize what he was saying, how much it affected me, or I don't think he even realized what he was saying a lot of times. Obviously it's too late now for him to go back and do anything about it, but I would say if you feel that way, have an honest conversation with him. If it kind of depends on the way your dad is, because obviously some people are more stubborn than others, but sit down, have a conversation with him, talk to him, say, hey, maybe you don't understand this, but when you say these things, it makes me feel this way. I wish I would have had the courage to do that as a kid. I really wish I would have had the understanding to say that, to be able to say, hey, I wish you wouldn't do this. But beyond that, I think you don't have to be what people think you are. So as a person, as a human being, we get to choose who we are. We get to choose who we want to be. And the experiences that we go through will definitely affect us. It definitely has an effect on how we grow, how we develop, and who we become. But we also have the power of choice. So more powerful than any of the experiences that we go through, we have the power to choose who we want to be, the person that we want to be, the things that we want to do with ourselves, and the effect that we want to have on the world. That's our choice. So it's not easy. I constantly, daily have to fight with things in my brain that want a certain thing or feel that things are a certain way, but I don't have to accept those. I don't have to accept the idea that I'm not worth anything. I don't have to accept the idea that I am some piece of trash on the side of the road because somebody thinks that way. I can choose to believe in myself. I can choose to believe that there's a God above who believes in me. I believe in myself no matter what. I think the big thing is understanding that other people's opinions of us don't define who we are. We define who we are by the decisions that we make and the things that we choose to do. How is it affecting me? I think that question is interesting because it's more like, how has it not affected me? I think that my issues with my father has affected almost every decision I've made my entire life. You literally I look at everything through a lens of doubt and a lens of whether I'm good enough, whether I'm making the right decision. What will my dad think? Will my dad ridicule me for this? Will my dad be proud of me? You know, and I think that we all do that to some degree. We all want to make our fathers proud. At least every boy or every man I've ever known wants to make their father proud. So it affects everyday life, every decision that you make. You want to make that person proud of you. You want to make your father figure proud of you. And not to say that's necessarily a bad thing, but it can definitely be a bad thing. It's affected my relationships with other men. I've only ever really had one male friend who was a friend more than just a short period of time. And that was just in high school for about 4 years, and then kind of we lost touch. And I've always struggled really hard with having male friends because of the distance between me and my father and the relationship that me and my father had. I don't think I trust men as much as I do women, because my mom was there. My mom was more of a supportive figure when I was a kid, and my dad wasn't being. So it just kind of pushed me more towards, I guess, trusting in women more. But it also pushed me in kind of down a slope of searching for love, searching for somebody to love me, because I didn't feel like my dad loved me. And because I didn't feel like he loved me, I was always searching for someone to love me. I call myself a serial relationship person, because since I was probably 12 years old, I've only ever been single for like 3 months total. 3 months max, I should say. 3 months max was the longest period of time I was ever not in a relationship with a female, because I've always felt like I needed that relationship to fill in the gap, fill in the hole that my dad left.